This is where I get discombobulated with recording this because I know that the way we're going to get any kind of audience for this podcast is by chopping it up into clips. Because on YouTube, it's really hard to attract an audience on YouTube to a long form conversation where you cover a bunch of topics. Because people who go to YouTube to watch something like this are looking for something really specific. So like last time when we talked about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, if I had chopped out that clip and just uploaded it as a Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes review, it probably would have got a lot more views than just uploading the blob of this video is 80% reflecting on how OneTake got to 200,000 subs, and it's 20% a Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes review. Like, we're really depending on people crossing over. So in my mind, if I know we're going to chop this up into clips, do we even need an introduction? And when do I upload this? Do I upload the full video and then I follow that up with clips and then people are getting notified like OneTake podcast, and then a day later it's a clip from the same one they already saw. The next day it's another clip. There's different ways to handle it, but that's why I get we've started over now like 4 times because I'm thinking about all of that as I'm doing the introduction.
Yeah.
But I guess you wouldn't have the answer.
No, but I mean, technically, there's no reason not to at least film the intro and then decide later.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that's what we should have talked this out beforehand. It would have cleared my head, and then we could have just jumped into it. But
we could always record the intro at the end and just splice it together.
Yeah, I mean,
it's okay if there's a quick cut. Oh, okay.
It's true. It adds more work. Like I really want to try and make this a light touch. It just at this point, if this takes away hours of time that I could spend on writing, actual videos that people care about, then it's not worth doing. We need to make this a light touch. We go in, we get it over with, we get it done, and then we can get back to our real lives and get back to our work. That's why I wanted to skip the intro.
Sounds like you really enjoy doing this.
I do enjoy doing this. It's just all the stuff that surrounds it. That's
why you could like edit a video in the background while we just have a casual conversation here.
People do that. There are people who will stream themselves editing a video, and I've seen people say it's just like cathartic to have it on in the background. Like you're working, and then somebody's editing a video. They're working, so I could do that. I guess I'll do the editing, and then you kind of just interact with the audience. Like now you see Gil, what he's doing right there is that Premiere just froze again, so that's why you hear him punching his desk.
Now Gil's trying to use Premiere while wearing his Apple Vision Pro, which we know is not going to work well.
I have done that, and it is nice to get Premiere on a giant screen in front of you, but you end up with some lag. And then it's like, imagine how long it takes to move a mouse from like one corner of an iMac screen to the other. But let's go into our first topic. The first thing that'll get clipped. And I'm picturing for this one a big thumbnail that's me, and then maybe Tony or like a Hack the Movies logo, and it says in big letters, drama.
Yeah.
But, so I was thinking about anytime I do his live stream. So I did it last night. I'm always thinking about it a bunch after. Like, what could I have said differently? What should I have done differently? Because it's really easy to prep for giving my opinion about all the different things we watched. I just put a few notes down, and I can just give my 2-minute elevator pitch on why I thought The Fall Guy wasn't very good. But the hard part is preparing for verbal sparring with Tony. Because he always throws those little grenades at you, and you have to figure out how to like throw it back at him.
Yeah, and they're very witty, and you have to match his wit.
Yeah, and he'll kind of like take you down a path, and then suddenly reverse it, and you don't realize that you thought he was taking you one place, but then he took you to another place.
Yeah.
I knew some of the things I knew he was going to call me out on, so I should have been more prepared. But the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, or the live stream he did about what's the best Planet of the Apes movie, I was really excited to do that. I was ready to do that. Rewatched all the Planet of the Apes movies. I had to do that anyway for my own video, so I was ready. But then a rare opportunity came up, or what I thought was a pretty rare opportunity. Maybe these happen more often than I realized, but there was this YouTube event in Utah where it was just kind of like a little conference where different creators came together, and they had people from YouTube were speaking. It was in partnership with this company, Space Station, that they have their own little network of channels. So the two of them partnered up and hosted this big event. And it happened to be the night of Tony's stream. And I was like, I just found out about this last minute. That sounds like it'd be a really cool opportunity. So I let Tony know I'm not going to be able to. I was very apologetic. He never mentions that. I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to be able to make it. I said, I can do it virtually any other night. I'll do it tonight if you want. But he has a very rigorous schedule, I think. He was like, no, has to be that Thursday. And he just, his only reply to, you know how I tend to over-explain things? Because
Yes.
I imagine what the person's going to say in response, and I try to pre-answer their questions. So I wrote all this, like, I'm so sorry. Here's all the other dates I can do, but I understand if you need to replace me. I'm so sorry. The only reply was all caps, like F-U-C-K. He was so anyway, on the stream, of course, before introducing me, he was like, so now I'm going to bring on somebody who's really reliable, always shows up when he says he's going to, and then he pulled up Logan, who's the guy who replaced me.
I mean, you deserve it.
I do okay.
I'm team Tony.
Well, I was trying to figure out. So even that, I wasn't prepared for that. I was like, "What's a good witty retort to that?" That's
what I was saying. You can splice it.
Yeah,
Take
you're
your
right.
time.
So every time Gil says something clever, for some reason, Alon and Gil both just suddenly shift positions. But this is what I came up with. This is what I said on the spot last night. First, I explained all of this. I was like, I love how Tony gives me a hard time for this, but he leaves out how apologetic I was and how I tried to be really flexible with my schedule. And all I got in reply were curses and threats. But this morning when I woke up, I thought what I could have added was maybe I could have gone into more of a bit, saying how Tony became like really threatening. Like, do you know who I am? Like, I'm Tony. I was in the Dark Knight Rises. I could crush you like a bug. But that's what I thought of this morning. And then he brought it up again. He was like, Logan was so great to actually show up. And I said, guess he had nothing better to do.
Oh.
Yeah.
You did get to see a pretty cool drone show. Would you have seen a drone show if you were recording with Tony?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. And I did message him that. I thought about doing this publicly, but I was trying to keep our beef private. But on that Apes live stream, I don't even remember what he said about me, but he was telling people to unsubscribe from OneTake.
Yeah.
So I sent him a picture. In the drone show, they wrote YouTube in the sky. And I was like, Tony, I met the YouTube god today. So think about that next time you tell people to unsubscribe. The other zingers they were throwing at me last night, this one was tough because they all started calling me Gilly.
Yeah.
Which I don't know where that came from. I'm not even talking about last night, but like our mom, like 4 or 5 years ago, suddenly started calling me that. I don't remember her ever calling me that my whole life.
Suddenly? I mean, I would say that's a pretty common way to refer to somebody in like a cute way, you know?
But maybe she did it when I was a kid because I didn't really remember it, but I remember noticing it all of a sudden and being annoyed by it. But she's my mom, so I was like, it makes her happy. I'm going to let her have it.
Yeah. I mean, she probably started because our nieces and nephews were saying it, so then she started saying it.
Yeah, I guess that's probably right. I don't remember the order of events, but you're probably right. It is now my nieces and nephews, Uncle Gilly, and then I had a couple friends from work started calling me that. But and that's kind of why I quit and decided to do YouTube full time. So I escaped that, and now it's been ripped back open.
Wait,
and
so she calls you that even outside of the context of the kids are around? And
yeah, I don't know if she does it as much lately, but I just remember noticing when it suddenly happened. Like, I remember I called home, and I think a couple of you guys were home, and I wasn't. And I just heard her call out, does anybody want to talk to Gili? He's on the phone. And now doing all this, I mean, thankfully, this little podcast, we still have a pretty small audience here, so I'm not like opening the door to too many other people. But this is now, if suddenly this becomes more popular, like years from now, people go back and dig this up and be like, oh, we found his Achilles heel. Gilly's Achilles. But I never. They threw Gilly at me like 30 times last night. I never came up with a good response to it. You just see me making kind of like a like an annoyed look on my
You
face.
should probably update your X handle from OneTake Gil to OneTake Gilly.
The only one,
No, you should make a separate alt account that's OneTake Gilly. And it's just you, but like as a baby, like with a rattle or something.
it's like the Danky Kang version of me.
Yeah.
The only thing, so I was trying to think, what could I have said? And this is the best I could come up with this morning. Was that I'm like, Tony, you're gonna keep calling me Gilly? Well, your name already ends in E, so I'm gonna take it away. I'm gonna call you Tone.
Yeesh.
Wait.
Oh, now it was funny.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm glad you had that to let me know when something was
Yeah,
good.
the only problem is like whenever I want to go to push one of those sound effect buttons, I have to like look and remember which button it is, and so it always comes way too late. And so then I have to be like, wait, say that again. Yeah, I could label these buttons.
Yeah. Man, it's crazy. It's just so crazy that this beef you have with Tony is actually real, and it's not. You're not joking.
Oh, it's not a joke at all.
Yeah.
I'm plotting to destroy him, but only because he's plotting to destroy me. So I'm just trying to stay one step ahead. The other.
Dougie from Channel Awesome needs to decide now which side he's gonna choose.
Let's see, the guy I met in like a Post-it stamp sized screen last night for the first time ever, or the other zinger that I thought I had a decent retort to last night is I mentioned how I'm gonna review all the X-Men movies, and Tony's like, whoa, Gil, I'm doing that, and then he kicked me off the stream and he brought me back on, and I said, I mean, I could invite you on for that, but I don't want to take down Hack the Movies too. So that was a callback to how when he came on for his Castzilla capacity, that channel got taken down like a week or two later. Now, I had a couple of my own little one-liners prepared in my notes, and I used them, but neither of them landed. I think part of it is my delivery. It was just way too deadpan. So with the Fall Guy, that was one of the movies we reviewed. There were a bunch of headlines about how movie theaters are dying because that movie is not doing well at the box office. If didn't do well, Garfield isn't doing well. I know, shocking. And Furiosa's not doing well, which that'll be a separate topic. So don't comment on that yet. So for the Fall Guy, saw the movie and I thought it was not great. I thought it was barely okay. So I thought it would be funny to start off by saying, this movie, The Fall Guy, restored my faith in cinema because it wasn't good, which means that all the headlines saying that cinema's dying because this movie didn't sell a bunch of tickets, well, if it's not good, that actually makes sense. But I guess that's a little too convoluted. Yeah.
I mean, the problem is that actual good movies aren't doing well either, though. So.
Well, really there's only Furiosa. One good movie that's not doing well, and that's Furiosa. But don't talk about that yet.
Well, what about Garfield? Is that supposed to be a bad movie?
To be honest, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be bad. And like we saw clips of it when they released that clip of like he's meeting his dad, and there's all that wacky stuff with the train. It looked horrible.
I just don't get it. Like a cartoon movie when you have so much source material, I'm not even a writer, and I feel like I could do a good job. Well, I feel like it writes itself.
You have source material, but it's all like little just, I like lasagna.
Well, it's just like Mario. You know exactly what to put in that the audience will like.
Yeah, basically just take any random template for a children's movie and just put Garfield in it and just put in the Garfield things. Yeah. I mean, like Mario, it's like an aesthetic where there are certain things we want to see, certain things we want to hear. Bake those into a decent plot, people will love it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't really know too much about the movie besides what I saw in the trailer, and it seems like they took the movie in a direction I've never seen in the comics. He's like meeting his dad. I stopped reading the comics a long time ago, but I don't remember anything like that. So maybe it just doesn't feel like Garfield at all. And then I could see how you can mess it up because you're not basing it off source material.
You're just giving me an idea for what I could have done last night. So before talking about Furiosa, I could have been like this. Now let's talk about a property that I love that finally we're going to go back and answer a bunch of questions about it I never had. But enough about Garfield. Let's talk about Furiosa.
That sounds exactly like something Tony would say.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. He'll take you down a path and then suddenly swerve you around. Mm-hmm. The other zinger I had that just completely didn't work is
you put so much thought into this. This is why you haven't been releasing movies or videos as often.
Well, I was thinking this could be a regular thing. Just like every time I'm on his stream, the next morning could be us just like looking back at it and critiquing.
I'm afraid to see your notepad. It's probably like, Tony said this, Tony said that.
We need to like, this is what we'll do. We'll do a pre-stream, like a pre-game stream the night before. And it'll be you and me just mapping out all the potential angles for attack where Tony might hit me. And like come up with retorts ahead of time. Like, okay, when you say this, he's probably going to say that. And then I'll have all my little one-liners ready.
What Hack the Movies is really about.
Oh, yeah. So, Star Wars Tales of the Empire. This is this weird, like, anthology show. Each episode's about 15 minutes long. This was another one we reviewed. And I watched the first episode. It was really bad. I wanted to compare it to just a long video game cutscene, but video game cutscenes have gotten really good. I mean, some of them are cinematic, and they could really stand on their own as a good story. You're not trying to just fast forward through them. But if you think of a bad video game cutscene, that's what this felt like. And Joey mentioned how he liked the episodes are really short. And so I was trying to make a joke that I also like that the episodes are short, just because they're faster to get through. But he had already said it as a genuine compliment. So I think me just repeating it, how would you even read that was meant to be like pithy or like a put down?
Well, I would have just appended that with, because the show sucks and I just want to get through it.
I should have said that. See, that would have been good. See, that's why we got to start talking about this stuff ahead of time.
Well, anytime you have any doubt that somebody won't get your joke, just explain the joke.
Yeah, you're right. That could work.
Yeah.
That actually does feel like that fits Tony's sense of humor too. Where like even like I interrupted him to when we were talking about tarot, he was explaining the movie, and I could tell he was doing a bit because he was doing his bit voice. And like partway through, he was like, and all these people find these cards, and then I was like, and they get tarot-fied. He's like, what? Tarot-fied? He's like, you messed up the bit. Let me start over. But I think I like that the episodes are short joke reminded me of people who think they're clever that comment on every single What Blank is Really About video I do. Every single one of those gets a few comments from different people who all, I think, believe they came up with this joke first. But like, okay, what Blade Runner 2049 is really about? One of the comments will be, what is it about? It's about 2 hours and 7 minutes long.
Wow.
But I feel like my I like that the episodes are short is almost of the same quality as that. I don't know.
I mean, the comment joke I don't think it's that clever because it's not even in the context of time. If you say, what's this about? Really, you're just finishing the sentence. But it's not a sentence. It's a question. You know, if it was like, Blade Runner is really about blank, then you could put a time stamp in there. I don't know.
I'll just come up. Well, what you just said, we'll just transcribe that, and I'll copy and paste that and reply. Anytime I get one of those, we'll have like a form reply to it.
Yeah, maybe let me perfect that response a little bit, though.
Well, speaking of what blank is really about, what am I working on right now? So the very next video that I'm putting together is
about 2.5 hours.
It's about 47 minutes long. The House of the Dragon comes back June 16th, which I can't believe. Like, you know what? I can't stand how people will make the comment of like, man, time really flies. Can you believe it? It's been 2 years since the last season of House of the Dragon. Already it's back again. And I was about to say that. And thankfully I stopped myself. But House of the Dragon, June 16th, it comes back.
Wow, and, already?
Yeah. Cool. Wow, time sure flies. Which is ironic because time really flies on that show. Which one of my favorite things watching that show was always looking for when characters will give you a hint of how long it's been. Like, wow, 6 months I've been telling you this, Viserys, and you still haven't listened to me. And this whole time they've been in the Stepstones fighting. Wow, 6 months. Can you believe it? And you could it's like, what do you prefer? Would you prefer that every episode start with 3 years later? Or would you prefer they just try their best to organically fit it into conversation?
I think probably the text.
Yeah,
because it feels too awkward every time.
It does. Because there's no way for it not to be awkward. I was about to say in real life you don't do that, but I guess we just did that. I was like, it's been 2 years since the last season. But I guess when you know why they're doing it, it's just impossible for it not to sound just inserted, for our benefit.
Well, all right, here's another example. In real life, if I see a friend of mine I haven't seen in like a year, I don't say, man, we haven't seen each other in what, a year?
I do sometimes say that, though.
But that's probably often. Because you've watched too many movies.
Yeah, I'm thinking the audience is watching. We need some exposition. I tell my friend, like, look, this is going to be awkward, but we need to get a little exposition in here. And so, like, it's been, I think, 3.5 years since we last saw each other.
You would say, like, it's been a while, or it's been a long time. I don't think you would normally be that specific.
Yeah, now you're making me question that maybe I should stop doing that. Because when I say sometimes I do that, I mean, like, I definitely do that. Anytime I see a friend I haven't seen in a while, I try to piece together, like, precisely how long it's been. And I'll get them, I'll, like, say, where were we when we met up? And I'll put all the clues together.
I think the other thing is, for me anyway, most of my friends, every time I see them, it's been a while. So I don't feel the need to point it out every time. Also, I feel with most of my friends, I'm close enough where it doesn't matter how much time goes by, whatever. Like, I don't know. You ask them, like, what's new? It's the same from like the 2-3 years ago.
Did you have kids since the last time I saw you? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm working on a recap, though, for the first season of House of the Dragon. And initially, I felt a little self-conscious about doing a recap because it all stems from a comment I got about 3 years ago where I put out a recap and someone was like, in the comments, this channel should just be called Simple Recaps because that's all you do. And I was like, wait a minute. I went back and I calculated. I'm like, we've done 150 videos on this channel. Like 7 of them have been recaps. So I don't know. Last time I checked, 1% is a pretty small portion of the videos we do. But this year, about 40% of the videos have been recaps. What's wrong with that? People like the recaps. I like writing them. But I do not love the idea. I don't want to just be a recap channel. I want there to be personality, analysis, the unique ingredients that only we can bring. So initially this video is going to be a recap and review of season 1, retrospective style. For the retrospectives where I do movie recap, then review, then recap, then review. And it kind of creates the experience of, it's as if we sat down to watch all the movies together. So we watch it, and then afterward we discuss it. And that's when I'm talking to you about it. But time is running out. And with season 2 coming out June 16th, which, my God, that's been 2 years already. There's just not enough time to get it done. And so I had this like call with Daniel last night or 2 nights ago where I was like, it should just be a recap, right? And he's like, yeah, definitely. Just release it as a recap. And I was like, yeah, I knew that was the answer. I just didn't want to do it. So it's going to be a recap, season 1. But if you want to hear my thoughts and our thoughts, we are bringing back Talking Targaryen every week, where we'll be breaking down each episode, our opinions, perspective. And I don't know if we're going to do the instant takes, like live stream right after it airs, and then do the full episode later in the week. That ended up being pretty duplicative. Like we just end up repeating a lot of what we said in the instant take. The instant take is really just there to capture the audience immediately after when they want to talk about it. But I got to have my priorities. Mm-hmm. So it'll be one episode podcast. And yeah. So that's what I'm working on.
Sounds good. Let me know if you need any help.
How are you going to help with that? Dude, can you name 3 characters from that show? The blonde lady.
Hold on. The guy from Morbius that did the dance.
Matt Smith, right?
Yeah, okay, Matt Smith.
That's not his name in the show. Hey, Matt.
I don't know if it's because you just put me on the spot, but I literally can't remember a single name.
No, I knew you wouldn't be able to. I mean, it has... I know we keep saying this, but it has been a couple of years since the show aired.
Yeah, but after one season of Game of Thrones, I didn't struggle this hard.
I think, though, with Game of Thrones, I definitely felt more connected to those characters. I mean, you rooted for some of those characters. On House of the Dragon, it's compelling. Like, I just rewatched the whole season, and you can't look away from Viserys, the king. He's the one who's decomposing throughout the whole season.
Yeah.
And you can't look away, but it's like watching a car wreck in slow motion. And he's so well-intentioned. He just wants everybody to be happy. But you're not exactly rooting for him because you know he's not going to succeed. And outside of him, Rhaenyra, Daemon, they have their positive qualities, but they're jerks. Like there's one scene, and spoilers for House of the Dragon, Daemon goes on and on about how much he hates his wife. And the first time we meet her, it's him going to murder her, basically. And I remember, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think Adam almost defended him. Not saying he should have murdered her, but like, I don't know that he killed her necessarily, that he meant to kill her. Because it is shot very weird, where she approaches on a horse.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like cuts, you can't really tell what happens. She falls off the horse. And then she's like paralyzed. And I read it, and I believe this is the correct reading, is that he essentially spooked the horse.
Yeah.
Which that seems like you got to train those horses not to get so easily spooked, because I feel like that'll be a problem. If you can just do this.
Yeah.
Or whatever he did. It reminded me of Quentin Tarantino. There was this paparazzi video where the paparazzi's coming up to him, and then all of a sudden the camera like kind of swings like as if he punched him, but it just looks like Tarantino flexes. It's like he just does this, and the guy's like, ah! So Damon Tarantino'd his wife. And she falls off the horse, and then she's like, you don't have the guts to go through with it. And then he picks up a big rock and walks toward her. And the implication is he whacked her head with that rock. So I can't root for him after that. I don't care about him after. I hate him. I don't even feel conflicted about it. That's how moral I am.
But you can still enjoy watching him.
Yeah, I could have Tony'd you there. I would have been like, oh, what did you think of Matt Smith in House of the Dragon? And like, that's a good character. I like that character. And I say, so Alon likes the character who murders his wife because he doesn't like her. All right, moving on.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Furiosa is not doing well at the box office. I gave my thoughts on the movie last night. I don't know if you guys heard. I was on Tony's live stream last night. I'll link to that. I can't believe it's been 12 hours since that live stream. Wow. So I already talked about my thoughts on it. You haven't seen it yet.
No.
My impression is you're not exactly rushing out the door to go see this movie. You're not feeling as hyped for this as you did Fury Road. Is that accurate?
Right.
And I'm trying to figure out, and that's the impression I get from a lot of people. And so I'm trying to figure out, why is this not doing very well at the box office? Now, the first thing, which I didn't realize, in my mind, Fury Road was like a big smash hit. Apparently it wasn't. Like, it did surprisingly well, but it wasn't like huge. So it had an opening weekend of $45 million. Furiosa had an opening weekend of $25 million. And then Fury Road went on to make $380 million, which apparently means it like broke even. Some people say it might have even lost money, which is weird because then Furiosa gets an even bigger budget. So Fury Road's budget was $150 million, Furiosa $168 million. So they upped the budget by close to $20 million. But they're calling it a flop, and everything is flopping right now. The Fall Guy, If, Garfield, Furiosa. There's a couple theories on why that's happening. So part of this is fallout from the writer's strike and the director's strike. So a lot of bigger movies are delayed, and maybe they would have released some more surefire hits. So like Memorial Day weekend, usually by that point, there's a big movie out. Like last year, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 came out a couple weeks before that. I think 2022, Top Gun Maverick was out in time for Memorial Day weekend. In previous years, there were X-Men movies, Pirates of the Caribbean movies. So, I mean, now you have Furiosa, an R-rated, kind of weird prequel movie. So I think that's all part of it. But also, just in the face of it, like I look at you loved Fury Road, and you're not that excited for this.
So I'm trying to think out loud here about why that is. I think there's a couple reasons. One, I like Furiosa's character, but personally, I would prefer another Mad Max movie with Mad Max because that's what the movie is, and that's who I primarily cared about. So I do care about Furiosa, but not as much. So I'd rather have a sequel to Max's story. However, I do still want to see the movie. So I'm at least somewhat excited. I'm not excited at all. When I saw the trailer, I didn't really notice anything that was significantly different from the first movie. So my vibe, and maybe I might be wrong, but my impression was it looks like the same movie, but I've already seen it, and it doesn't look as intense as the first movie. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's false memory from the trailer because it was a while ago. But what do I need to see the same movie for with a character I'm not as interested in?
And a character whose fate you already know. You kind of know her backstory to some extent already, or you get an idea where she's coming from. So it's played by a different actress.
Yeah.
So I feel like I second a lot of what you just said. Like that trailer, I remember when we saw the trailer for Fury Road, we were already quoting, "What a lovely day."
Yeah.
And we're still quoting it 9 years later. And just the visual of them driving into that giant storm and with the crazy orchestral music playing over it, I remember feeling like I need to see this movie. Furiosa trailer never gave me that feeling. And my theory is that Mad Max is a weird movie. If you think about the normies, I feel like most of them wouldn't usually be into a Mad Max movie, but it became somewhat of a cultural phenomenon because A, that trailer was just so good, you had to see it. And then there was the word of mouth from critics telling you this is something crazy, you haven't seen this stuff before. It's some of the best action ever.
I'm also speculating here, but I feel also back then when Mel Gibson was Mad Max, I think people cared more about big time celebrities and they cared more about going to see them. I think now you hear like who's in Chris Hemsworth? No. Yeah,
Chris Hemsworth. Or
it wasn't his brother?
No, it's Chris Hemsworth and Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, so I think they're big celebrities, but I think people just don't care as much anymore. Like hearing that Brad Pitt's going to be in a movie isn't necessarily going to make everyone go see it no matter what it is anymore. I think back then, you'd hear Mel Gibson's in a new movie, I want to go see it.
Now, I think in general, I don't think you're necessarily wrong, but with Mad Max at least, it was so early in Mel Gibson's career. He was 22, I think, for the first one. So I don't think he was ever, maybe for Thunderdome by that point, he might have been a draw. But also, none of those movies actually did that well. I think they generally would be considered sort of cult hits.
So you let me go on speculating for like 3 minutes when you knew I was wrong the whole time?
Well, I think maybe you were making a good point, though. I think you might be right. I know for me personally, like a big celebrity is definitely not a draw at all. I don't. The only time I care at all about an actor being in a movie is if I get the feeling this is an actor who's really protective over the movies they're in.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, I'm interested not because the actor's in it, but because they're acting as more than just in their capacity as an actor.
I mean, generally now I'm more interested in a movie if there's nobody I know in it and it looks cool. And that's it. Celebrities are almost distracting now.
Yeah. Kind of like Anya Taylor-Joy in Dune 2. Or Christopher Walken in Dune 2.
Yeah. But that didn't help because you see them for like a few seconds, so you don't even get adjusted to it.
Right. That was the theory I came up with when I was talking to Daniel about Dune 2. I was like, Christopher Walken is a great actor. And are we saying we don't want to see him in movies because he's distracting, because he's so well known? But I think it's what you just said. The answer is your brain almost needs time to readjust and calibrate to see past the actor and into the character. But if they're only in the movie a little bit, it's kind of like Matt Damon in Interstellar. It feels like a cameo, especially in the age of cameos.
Yeah. Also, though, with Christopher Walken, with a personality and voice that unique, I feel like he can only work in a comedy. You know?
What are we going to do about these Harkonnen?
Yeah. Is he able to turn that off?
I don't know. I think it's just his voice. I don't.
I know.
I mean, I'm sure
but a lot of it. Yeah.
Well, actors put on fake accents.
Exactly.
So if they can do that, they must. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Brad Pitt can do like 10 different accents.
Can he?
Yeah. He was in Snatch. He played. You know.
I don't think you're supposed to. I'm gonna bleep that. I don't think you're supposed to say that word anymore.
That's what they call him in the movie.
There's a lot of words they used in movies that. I watched an episode of The Office last
everyone
night.
knows what I said.
There was an F word and an R word used in The Office that I don't think you can use anymore. So, I'll tell you after.
All right.
So I think, Furiosa trailer. There wasn't anything that grabbed me like the Fury Road trailer where I was like, I need to see this. Part of that's because it just doesn't look new at all. Mm-hmm. There is stuff in this movie you haven't seen before, and those are some of my favorite parts. But it does very much feel like the same world, the same locations with a couple of new ones.
Yeah.
So I think, and when I talk about like normies versus cinephiles, I don't think it puts people. I don't talk about that in a pompous way. I look at it this way. Is that they're probably feeling similar to what we're feeling. I don't feel that excited about the movie. The difference is a normal person will say, well, I don't feel that excited. I'm not going to see it. But I don't feel that excited, but I'm going to go see it anyway because I know it's George Miller. I know he's going to make an awesome movie. And there is some curiosity. And even if I don't feel emotionally moved to go see the movie, I'm going to do it. But if I'm not feeling that, I imagine a lot of people aren't. And that's going to hurt it at the box office. Yes, most people aren't going to override that feeling and just go see it anyway.
Yeah, which is, I guess they'd rather go out to like the bar or something on like a.
Yeah, I don't know what do people do.
Like I would rather go see a movie, even if it's one that isn't going to be like mind blowing.
Yeah, we're
as long
totally
as it's enjoyable.
Yeah, we're definitely out of touch, though, because I also see these polls where it's like people strongly prefer shorter movies, like less than 2 hours. And I'm like, if I see a movie's 2.5 hours long, I get excited.
If it's a movie, a good movie that you're enjoying, why would you not want it to be longer?
Yeah. Maybe
that's what I don't get.
Yeah, no, I don't know. For me, the longer the better. Like, I love like a 3-hour movie. I'm like, oh, it's going to be epic.
Yeah.
I also think it doesn't help. Like I said it last night, but I wish that they hadn't made this prequel. I wish that they had made a sequel. Not because that's necessarily what I'd rather see, but I think you've made this into a tougher sell. Like I said, I think Fury Road was an unusual phenomenon. It attracted a lot more attention than you'd expect for a Mad Max movie. But now not only is it Mad Max, but it's a prequel with a character who's been recast. I think you're adding so many hurdles to get people to go see it, and you're making it very unlikely that we're going to get another Mad Max movie after this.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I am curious about Furiosa's story. Like, I'm not disinterested, but I don't want it coming at the expense of another Mad Max. If they could have, like, 2 teams working at them simultaneously, that would be awesome. Like, I would rather both movies than just one of them. But if I only had one, I'd rather a continuation of the story.
Yeah, I wish it was like Ty West when he came out with X, and he's like, by the way, I also filmed a prequel called Pearl. I didn't tell you about it, but it's coming out in like a year.
That's cool.
I wish that George Miller had done that, where he's like, because he's talking about Mad Max: The Wasteland, which would be another prequel. Takes place a year before Fury Road, and it's about what Max was up to. Like, why can't just? I know it's dumb. Like, intellectually, it shouldn't matter, but just for me, knowing it's a prequel, it does something to me where I'm like, well, I know where it goes. And there is a nice feeling, this sense of discovery when you watch a movie and you don't know where it's going. And I know you can do that in a prequel, but there is something inside me that just has that feeling of I know where he's going to be in 1 year. I know where it's going.
Also, don't you feel that when someone's writing a movie, they consciously chose the part of that character's story to start at because they felt that was the most interesting part of their life to tell
right.
a story about. So why didn't you think of, like, did no part of you think, maybe I should start earlier in his life for this movie? Maybe you thought that and then you were like, that wouldn't be as interesting. Let me start here. Right. So by definition, a prequel will be less engaging.
Yeah, it's like Han Solo. And then you end up accidentally recreating the same character arc. Because it's like Han Solo in Star Wars A New Hope. He's like a scoundrel, selfish, and then learns to care about the bigger cause and like fight in the rebellion. And then you see Solo, a Star Wars story, takes place decades earlier. It's like he's a scoundrel and he learns to care about the bigger universe. And
yeah, but you know, at least with the Star Wars, Disney has I don't know if they're still doing it, but they had so many different teams working on so many different Star Wars entities that I don't think any of them were taking away from whatever their plan was for the next mainline Star Wars century. Like, I'm sure that has been getting worked on in some capacity this whole time.
Yeah. They can do 10 movies at once.
Yeah. I just wish they were good. That's all.
Yeah. That's the one thing, you know. There's like a few exceptions, right? Like Better Call Saul, amazing prequel. Yeah. But part of what that had going for it is that, yes, we knew where Saul was in Breaking Bad, but he was a side character. We really knew nothing about him. There was no character development. So you do wonder what can turn somebody into that. And the show is also part sequel. And so just knowing you're eventually going to head there, it kind of corrects for that emotional, even if it's irrational part of you that thinks, well, it's a prequel and that kind of bums me out because we're not going to, it makes you feel like there's a brick wall at the end of the story where there's this artificial limitation of where the story has to end. Yeah. So
I think moral of the story is prequels are hard to write, but it is possible if you're good at writing.
I feel that way about just about everything. Is that any concept could work. Some of them are more challenging than others, and some of them maybe they can work, but you might not find an audience because people would just be turned off by the idea.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of like for a just generally a movie where it's our world, but one minor thing is different that changes everything. I can't really think of an example off the top of my head.
That's so funny.
Except for that. What? Why?
Oh, no, I'll tell you why in a second, but finish your thought.
I was going to say the only thing I can think of, the only specific movie is the Beatles movie you were telling me about.
Oh yeah, yesterday.
But I feel like just in general, like a good writer can take that one concept and make like a whole interesting story about it.
So the reason I said that's so funny is because Vince Gilligan is working on a new show for Apple TV, and that what you just described is basically all we know of the premise. They keep giving these vague descriptions, and he's like, well, it's about a world where there's one thing different, but it changes things quite a lot. We start with this one thing changing, and it goes from there. And it's a sci-fi, but it's not too sci-fi. It's like Twilight Zone, but it's not really like Twilight Zone. Like if you read all the descriptions of it, you have no idea what this show is.
You should hire me. Because clearly we're on this. I also love movies where it's like, is there something supernatural or science fiction going on? Like, I can't tell. Yeah. I also can't think of a specific example off the top of my head, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. I love that feeling too. Like, wait a minute, could it be? Oh. That's if you can make me do that during a movie. Oh, you made a good movie.
I can see like a South Park character reacting to something like that.
I don't know if it came out yet, but they have one of their new South Park movie things.
It's about obesity.
Yeah, the thing you can inject yourself with that can like, make you lose weight.
Ozempic.
Oh, Ozempic, yeah.
Well,
this is the problem.
Didn't it just make you not have an appetite or something?
I don't know. I don't know the details. All I know is I never read any of the articles, but I saw the progression of the headlines where it was like Ozempic, like weight loss miracle, Ozempic, possible side effects, like, and then South Park, Ozempic. So I assume it's not good. But I did see a funny picture of Cartman after his treatment, and it did make me want to watch it.
I haven't seen it. I'm just visualizing it though. Let me look it up real quick.
All right. Let me do the same. South
Cartman
Park
post. Oh my god. That's funny.
I'm trying to find it.
He like wears his hat differently. He's all like,
oh yeah. It's got that big smile. He's like, damn.
That's awesome.
All right, well let's check in. We mentioned Marvel a couple times. Let's check in on the other side of the world, DC. James Gunn, we're yet to see what he comes out with. You know, in some ways, people are like, well, Blue Beetle was the first one. He said that Blue Beetle's part of his universe. But I don't remember the exact quote, but it was more like, we'll see. And if you read between the lines, well, if it does well at the box office,
yeah.
There's nothing in the movie that really ties it to the other DC movies. So we could just, in retrospect, say, yeah, it's part of our DCU. But we got some more news. They're doing a show called Lanterns. We knew about this. It was something he announced as part of that video where he walked through his whole Gods and Monsters plan. But he revealed a couple of creators who are involved. So the pilot of the show and the show Bible, the thing which kind of outlines everything about the show, the thing people reference back to in the writer's room as they're working on the show. The people who wrote the pilot and the show Bible are Chris Mundy, who worked on Ozark, and Damon Lindelof from Lost, Watchmen, and what was that show? The Leftovers. And then DC Comics writer Tom King, which I like to see they have an actual comic writer in the room. Do you have any reaction to those names? Did any part of you think, okay? Or do you think like, Lost? Or are you like, I don't know, wait and see?
Okay, so just to make sure I'm clear. So they helped write the Bible, the overall like general
set the
story.
Whole arc of the show, the tone.
But they're still going to hire other people for the individual movies.
Well, I saw individual episodes. So this is a TV show about the Green Lanterns.
Oh, okay.
I assume they're going to be kind of running the writer's room. So I don't have them listed here, but they have also hired writers already. There's going to be a group of them, and each person will write a different episode. Is how they usually do it. But I assume they're going to be overseeing it.
Yeah, I mean, okay, it could be good.
Yeah, I'll say that I was not. I thought Watchmen was all right. Obviously, I was part of the Lost phenomenon at the time.
Wait, you're talking about the show?
The show, yeah.
Watchmen. Okay, I never watched the show. I just saw the movie.
Even though I covered it on OneTake.
Yeah, I don't think I watched all of your... I watched some of it.
I know Ozark I wasn't that big a fan of. I know a lot of people like it. To me, it felt very much like we are trying to be dark, and it didn't feel organic in the same way like Breaking Bad did, for example. So, yeah, I guess this is one of those, I could see it going either way. But if I'm being completely honest, I would have been more excited if I saw some other names there. Here's a storyline, though. This might intrigue you. This is a story of a couple of Green Lanterns, Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan, and we have a few other Lanterns peppered in there. But this is really a terrestrial-based TV show, which is almost like True Detective, with a couple of Green Lanterns who are space cops watching over Precinct Earth. In it, they discover a terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU. Now, I'll say that I am a sucker for anytime you take two genres and you mash them together. A lot of people kind of roll their eyes at that. Like Star Wars The Acolyte, and a lot of people aren't too excited about it. And the person working on it, she was like, it's like Kill Bill meets Frozen. And everyone kind of rolls their eyes. But I like lean forward in my seat, and I'm like, oh.
Do you know the girl from Logan is in that?
She's an Acolyte?
Yeah.
I like that.
Apparently everyone, like, once they realize, they're like, oh, I forgot about her.
Oh, cool. That actually makes me slightly more intrigued about it.
Yeah.
And by slightly more, I mean slightly intrigued.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, I guess you don't really have any thoughts on that. I didn't expect you to. Lanterns, True Detective. There's not enough to go on here. But I mean, that's at least they're trying something, right? They are saying this is going to be a different tone versus Marvel, where right now it's all pretty uniform. Even them, I think they're trying to do some different things now too.
Yeah.
But
no, I'm still just, I was hoping that when what's his face,
James Gunn
took over, he would come in like guns blazing, like start being super honest about everything. But
The Flash is the greatest superhero movie of all time.
Honestly, like, if he said this movie, it's not that great, and then either canceled it or released it and been like, listen, you'll have fun watching, but it's not like, I know, like nobody in the right mind would tell him to do that, but if he did, I might be like, you know what, I'll go see it because he was honest, and now I'm looking forward to his future projects because he is honest about it. He saw the movie and he didn't try to lie to get a lot of money, but he did lie to get a lot of money.
It's funny.
That's what happened. Like, he literally,
outside...
I think he literally lied to get money.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was too blatant a lie.
There's no way he believed that was the greatest superhero movie of all time.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, outside of his direct comments on that movie, Blue Beetle, and maybe Aquaman 2, outside of his direct comments about those movies, he's generally been brutally honest to a point where people almost were put off by it. Like, DC just hired you, so maybe stop crapping on them. But meanwhile, you and I are like, keep crapping. This is great.
Yeah.
Because he was saying, like, DC's been a mess. Some of these movies have been terrible. There's been no oversight.
Yeah.
So a lot of what he said, I think you'd like. But yeah.
I mean, the thing is, with The Flash, I don't remember being bored. I just remember thinking a lot of it was dumb. So I still, I might have been like, you know what? Let's go watch a movie, turn off my... Like, when we saw Aquaman 2, I turned off my brain. It was fun, I don't regret it.
Yeah. There was some
Same
fun
thing.
to be had.
Yeah.
It was so... It's funny because people were saying that one flopped. And some of the reasoning was that, well, this is the end of the DCU, so nobody cares because they know it's not going to carry over into the next continuity. I don't think that's why it flopped. Again, going back to what we talked about on Furiosa, I think most just normal people going about their day, I don't think they know that it was the end of the DCU continuity. I think most people don't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're watching this, you think about it and you know. But if I think about my friends, I don't think they have any idea. I think they're just like, nah, I just don't really care about that movie.
Yeah. Sounds right.
Well, let's bring up the mood here a little bit with I thought we could do some gaming with Gil. I've been gaming lately and I want to talk about it. So I woke up a couple of weeks ago and I just had this feeling I need to go back and beat all the Mario games. It's just this feeling of unfinished business. Because I remember beating the early ones, like on the NES, the Super Nintendo, but it's really hard to remember if I beat them or if we were passing the controller back and forth, but you played 80% of it and I watched you beat it.
I feel like I'm the only one in our family that actually beats video games. I feel like maybe Adam does, I don't know. I feel like you guys all just kind of start them and then stop.
Well, Adam mostly plays games you don't beat. He plays the games
true.
like Overwatch that just go on and on. But yeah, when you mentioned to me yesterday, I think, you're like, I beat Animal Well. And I was like, wow, I haven't beat a game. And you know what? I beat one like 4 years ago, Metal Storm for the NES, which is a great game. That was the one, I think I've shown it to you, where it's a platformer and it has this mechanic where you reverse gravity.
Yeah,
so you have to go, that's a fun game. Oh yeah, and of course we beat Contra together. I mean, outside of these kind of short like NES games, I haven't beat any game that takes more than, I don't know, 5 hours. I haven't beat one of those since Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2 Episode 2.
I will say I hate games or parts of games where you have to walk on the ceiling. Just in general, I hate it. Like there were in Mario Maker, I would play a lot of levels there. Any level that had that, I just couldn't stand.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
I don't know if what
Metal Storm.
Metal Storm. I don't know about that.
I try it out. Try it out.
Well,
I really
maybe if
enjoy
the
it.
whole
Yeah.
game is like if they kept okay. I think maybe in Mario Maker, people that are doing it aren't like they're not true level designers. They're just random people. So maybe I'll try it.
I think you'll like it. But I remember, like, I was trying to remember the bosses. I was like, if I can remember the final boss of a game, that's probably pretty good evidence I beat it. And I remember Mario 2. I don't remember the boss, but I remember you wake up in bed and it was all a dream. And even as a kid, I remember that annoyed me. I was like, oh, so none of it counted. As if the storyline is such an important like aspect of the Mario games.
Yeah, but did you actually? I don't remember ever actually beating that game. Are you sure you didn't just see like a screenshot or something? Or a
Maybe it was a
video?
dream.
Like,
No, I can like
you-
visualize the room. Like I can remember
Oh.
sitting in the basement. But the weird thing is, I think Orin was the one playing, which I
You're
can't
thinking
even
Monkey
picture him playing a
Island.
video game now. No, you guys beat that when I wasn't home. I remember I was
Yeah.
so annoyed. This is Monkey Island. Anyone who's unfamiliar, it's a point and click adventure game. I'm waiting for you to be like, I know, and I have to remind you. I'm explaining to the audience. So
Yeah, I know.
Monkey Island is it's a point and click adventure game that's like really, especially as a kid, it was tough. Is to solve certain puzzles. It would be like you picked up an item way over there, and you have to think of a clever way to use it, way over here. And we never beat it growing up until one day the internet appeared, and you guys downloaded a walkthrough. And so I came home like from a friend's house, and you guys all told me you beat Monkey Island, and it made me so upset because you beat it without me, and you explained like the walkthrough's printed out downstairs, like you can beat it yourself. And then I think that night I went down to the basement and beat it by myself.
Really?
Yeah.
That
Following the
sounded
walkthrough.
wrong, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I did that on purpose.
Good times.
But yeah, so I think I probably completed. I'm gonna stop using that other word. All the NES and Super Nintendo Mario games I probably completed.
Even the lost levels.
I probably defeated. I defeated them. Lost levels probably not. But I think just to be
It's
safe,
too hard for you because
Yeah.
because you're American.
I was stuck on like World 2 of the original Mario Brothers. So the problem is though, I just get impatient and I start running, and then I like bump into a Goomba or something. So I want to go back and play all those again, but then there are ones like I don't even know if I ever beat Mario 64. I know Mario Sunshine. I never even played it, not even for
Yeah.
1 second.
There
That's
are
just a
two
weird-
Mario games I can't believe I never played to this day. Mario Galaxy 2 and Super Mario Sunshine.
Wow, Galaxy 2 is surprising to me. That's considered, I think before Odyssey, people were calling that the best Mario game
We
ever.
never bought it. We had Galaxy
Yeah,
1.
Galaxy.
I stressed the wrong part of it.
But I finally started playing Mario Galaxy. So they came out with Yes, Galaxy 1. They came out with that Mario 3D All-Stars for the Switch, which for some reason was only sold for a limited time. You can't buy it anymore. So to play it, I have to go into my other brother's Switch account and play it through there. Shouldn't have said that. Nintendo's going to demonetize us now. I know they're so they're very litigious. But I'd never played Mario Galaxy, maybe only for a few minutes on the Wii back when it came out. But so I've been playing it on the Switch. And first off, the whole conceit with the game is that you're in space. And so a level will be multiple little planets that have their own gravity. So you can kind of run around a planet, end up on the other side of it. If you can jump to another planet and get snatched up by its gravity. So it's that mechanic that I guess you hate. I don't know if that's only in 2D or if it extends to 3D as well.
Well, doesn't the camera follow you so you're not actually upside down?
It kind of does, but sometimes you can end up upside down. And then it gets kind of weird because you're like, wait, which direction do I push the joystick?
No, I'm just kidding.
One thing I don't like, and I think I might be alone in this because I haven't heard anybody else complain, and it's not really about game mechanics. It's just about the feel that the game gives me. But I kind of hate how desolate it feels. I don't like that when I stand on a little mini planet, I'm in the void of space. And I got the same feeling. I think is it Super Mario 3D World where you get the cat suit?
3D Land.
3D Land. Okay, one of those. I hate how, because the camera is sort of isometric, you can see off the edge of the level.
Oh.
And again, you're just floating in this big void with like a cloud background. And it makes me feel kind of isolated versus the one game that gave me the perfect feeling was Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo, where between the overworld map and when you get in a level, you can fly, you can go up. In a lot of levels, you'll go underground, not just through a pipe, but you'll like be digging underground and moving up and down. Like that felt like a complete world to me. There was no edge of the universe I could see where I'm floating in a big void. Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES also had that to some extent. And just the way that some of these worlds felt so different. Like I still remember that feeling the first time I saw Giant World, where everything was just way bigger. And I was like, it feels like I'm discovering a new world. Mm-hmm. And I loved that feeling.
I think Super Mario World is the best 2D Mario game, and it's kind of frustrating that I don't know. It's such cool mechanics, and exactly what you're saying, like going up, going down, and then you have all the secret exits, all this cool stuff. I feel like they're too careful about making sure you go down the expected path now. Like back then, I'm sure it was a lot of hard work thinking, okay, what if the player brought this cape to this level where we didn't expect them to have a cape? What would happen? So like, like you go to like a ghost house and you can fly up and find a secret there. But anyway, I guess I'm just complaining that I don't think Mario Wonder is that great.
That's where this was leading.
Yeah.
But like even when you just said you can fly over the ghost house and find a secret, that gave me that same like, feeling like
you don't get that anymore.
You don't get that anymore, no.
No. Like Mario Wonder, here's the problem. Mario World, I feel like I need to play for myself and discover secrets myself. Mario Wonder, the wonder element is just, oh wow, I didn't expect, a bunch of elephant
piranha plants to start singing.
Yeah, singing, or hippos to start bouncing around, but it's not really gameplay. I could just watch those on YouTube just to see what unexpected thing happens.
Right. And the secret levels, I remember in Super Mario World, I felt like I uncovered this place I'm not supposed to be, like this weird star world with these crazy hard levels. But now it's so expected that it just feels like, oh, have you unlocked the secret levels yet? Mm-hmm. Did you get enough of the wonder coins or whatever? It feels so, and part of that might just be age and experience, just that we've seen it before. Yeah. How are they going to do this wink of like, I don't know if there are secret levels, maybe.
Yeah.
But it feels so regimented now,
Yeah. And I do get a little obsessive when I play video games sometimes, like with Mario Wonder, even though I didn't love the game, there were individual levels I enjoyed. If I could go into a menu, actually they let you pick which level you want to play from the start menu. But if I could just have access to every level from the start and then just pick the ones I want to play based on the difficulty rating, I would rather do that. I don't need to waste my time on these easy levels or these ones that have singing piranhas, which is funny, but whatever. The last level of the game, you can only unlock by collecting like a crap ton of these coins. So, but it's so many, or not coins. You have to like unlock these things called standees, which are little cardboard cutouts of the characters. Like, I don't care about these collectibles, but I need to collect every single one to unlock the last level. Why can't I just play the last level? Just let me play it. Because it's not like I have to find a secret to get there. That I would enjoy doing. But I literally just replayed the same level about 1,000 times because that was like the most optimized path to get the most amount of coins possible in a certain, So, like back for like Super days, I would just do that for like a few minutes at a time.
In Super Mario World, how did you unlock that Star World? I don't remember. Was it like
Oh,
secret exits or something?
yeah, there were secret exits all over the map, and that would bring you to a star, and then the star would warp you over there.
See,
And there were different. So every level in Star World was connected to a star. So when you could beat one of the levels, and then it would draw. I forget what would happen then, but each star on the map would bring you to a different level.
see, even that I feel like helps with the immersion of like I'm discovering a world. Like I physically found a place that's taking me to this other place versus for some reason collect all these little pieces of cardboard and then this world opens up.
Yeah.
Like it's dumb. It's not a gaming mechanic. It's just the feel of the game. Arlo talks about that, right? He'll say
Yeah.
like it's undervalued, but games give you a certain feel. And
Yeah.
for me, even for a Mario game, I want a little bit of that immersion of
Yeah.
I don't like to feel like a game developer created a level, beat that level, and it will take you to the secret level. I want it to feel like a world that I'm discovering.
Yeah, I think in Mario 64, you had to collect stars to unlock certain other levels, which I think they did it right. It was the right number of stars, but I think they took it too far. Because like in Mario Wonder, you should never need to 100% collect everything to unlock a level. It should be to unlock some cosmetic or something I don't care about, you know?
Yeah.
Like I feel like they didn't learn their lesson from Breath of the Wild. In Breath of the Wild, they knew nobody wants to collect every single one of these like seeds, you know? So if you collect them all you get is, and it's not seed, it's heavily implied that it's, matter from
Okay.
a character. You know what I'm
Wait, in
talking
Breath
about?
of the Wild?
Yeah.
All
Remember
right.
those, remember the kokiri seeds or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you collect every single one, you get your prize is just an item in your in your inventory that doesn't do anything, that looks like some matter
Yeah.
that comes out of,
Other, like an object
yeah.
that would be attached to a person's body is the impression you're giving me.
No. It's fecal matter. It looks like
Oh.
golden fecal matter.
Okay.
So it was almost
Oh.
like they were trolling you for actually collecting every single one. So the point is, I kind of like that there is no real reward because I know I don't need to waste my time doing this. It's not fun. So in Mario Wonder, they did not learn their lesson because you need to collect every single one of these standees, and the only way to do it is to farm coins. And farming coins isn't fun. Why would they think it is fun to literally play the same level over and over and over and over and over and over and over
And it's
times
and it's
100?
to unlock something you genuinely care about. So you do feel like you
Yeah.
have to do it.
I wanted to
Yeah.
play the level. Anyway, so I 100%ed that game.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. And you're like, I didn't love that game, but you still will put in the maximum amount of time that you possibly can.
Well, how else would I play that level? I wanted to play
true.
the hardest level in the game.
Well, so having said all of this, do you remember playing Mario Galaxy? Is I am
Vaguely.
enjoying it, despite a couple of the things that I don't love about it. I am enjoying it. I am going to keep playing it.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
one thing that is, yeah, go ahead.
Go. I was just gonna say it again. Yeah, I vaguely remember it.
The one thing that's really bugging me about it is in one mechanic they had when you played on the Wii. I think you played nunchuck style. So you would have had the joystick in one hand, and then you had the Wiimote in the other. And so while you're running around, you could point your Wiimote and kind of control it
just
with
go
a
like
cursor.
this.
Basically, because they had star bits all over, which you can collect by pointing your Wiimote at them. So playing handheld on the Switch, instead, you swipe your finger on the screen. But to do that while you're playing, you essentially have to stop. It's like you stop moving and then swipe your thumb or your finger over the screen to collect all the star bits. And so to me, it just every time I see the star bits, it's such an interruption. I feel like I have to stop playing for a second to now collect all these things.
What do you
And
use those for? I forget.
you feed them to those little star creatures, and then they'll transform, and they'll turn into like a new level, or like a bonus level or something.
So you have to do that. You can't.
You do,
avoid it.
yeah. I think you have to, and so but they're pretty easy to get. So sometimes I tell myself, like, look, I'm just gonna ignore them, and I'll come back for them later, like when I need to collect them. but I can't. I see them all over the screen. I'm like, I need them. And you can collect them by just running over them, but sometimes they're far away, and it's just, it's way more efficient to just do this, swipe your finger all over the screen. It doesn't translate very well. I wish they would just have you collect them automatically, even if they're far away. It's like, I could just do this, so just give them to me.
That's one thing I like in a lot of games where, you want to collect rings or coins or gems or whatever, and then you unlock the magnet that automatically pulls them in. It's so, but they gotta give it to you early on in the game. But I think that's in like Dead Cells. They have that, for example.
You do it.
It just feels satisfying.
Yeah, have the player do it manually just enough so it annoys them a little, but not so much that you want to stop playing, and then you get the power up and you get the satisfaction.
Yeah.
But
and then you can turn it off if for some reason you do want to go like this.
Right. So I'm going to keep playing Mario Galaxy. I'll report back as I go. I don't know how I'm going to get into Mario Galaxy 2 because it's not on the Switch. But I hear that Wii emulation.
Why did they not? I don't understand them not putting it into All-Stars.
Mario 3D World. Why is it only available for a limited time? Why doesn't it include Galaxy 2? I just came up with a theory, though. They're doing these remasters now, right? Like Mario RPG, Paper Mario, The Thousand-Year Door. And there's still probably like a year or so left before Switch 2 comes out. So if they're going just into remaster mode right now, maybe they're doing a Galaxy 2 remaster.
But why not Galaxy 1?
Because Galaxy 2 is better.
Yeah.
And if they wanted to do 3D World, they needed to have one of them. So that's my theory. I just came up with it. But it also makes me think, I know Galaxy 2 has Yoshi. I don't know if Galaxy 1 does. But it doesn't? Okay, so it reminded me of a comment on Reddit that really annoyed me, where somebody was asking, why do we not ever get Yoshi in Mario games anymore? And it annoys me too. Or if Yoshi's in there, it's as a playable character.
Yeah.
But I want it to be like Mario World again, where you get Yoshi, you can ride around on them. And the answer was that, and this is a Reddit comment, it's very difficult to design levels to function both with and without Yoshi. So, it's really hard. And I'm like, they did it for Super Mario World. Like, they had, like, you talked about this earlier, and I meant to mention this, but they designed those levels so if you have the cape, there's something to see if you fly up. If you have Yoshi, the level still functions. So they were able to do it back then.
Yeah.
Well, why can't they do it again? So.
Oh, wait. I was going to say something. I should have written it down.
Damn, yeah, you need to start keeping a notebook next to you or something.
I actually have my note app right here. And
you need a note to remind you have the note app. Wherever you're looking, there should be a Post-it note that has like an arrow, like look back that way.
Just repeat everything you said for the past 2 minutes.
So Mario Galaxy. Well, you've been playing Animal Well. I think I mentioned it already. You beat Animal Well.
Yeah.
So what are your impressions after finishing that game?
Yeah. Overall, great game. I would recommend playing it. One thing I like about it is there's basically no hand holding. They just drop you in the middle. You're this little Kirby looking dude. And I think one thing I found frustrating at first that I grew to love was some of the puzzles, like hidden entrances to rooms, were so subtle, or it was such a tiny crevice, and I'm just like, it's like unfair. There's this one point, there's this block size area that you can go down, and I literally I had no clue where to go. I kept running over this spot, and because the thing is, just like in Mario, if you're running, you can run over gaps. Okay. So every time I would just walk right over it. I even tried to fall down it, but I didn't because I was like 2 pixels off. So at first that annoyed me. And then that's the kind of thing I grew to like about the game.
Yeah.
Where you really need to scrape every block of the room you're in to find secret entrances and all that stuff.
And it's basically, for people unfamiliar with the game, it's basically a platform puzzler. It's kind of Metroid-like, right?
Yeah, it's very much like that. Except I like this more than Metroid.
Yeah. When you find a map, I've played the first maybe hour of it. You find a map pretty early on that gets rid of a lot of the annoyance of where do I go? Because you can easily tell where have I already been, where can I go, but I haven't figured out how to get there yet.
I actually, after this game, I felt that the urge to try Metroid Dread again, and I did, and it's just like it's too slow. Like, there's just things that bother me. Like, you have this Emmy robot that chases you, and I just don't see the point. It's like literally just to add tension. But I'm more interested in the solving puzzle element. I like some of the action, but when I'm in the middle of trying to figure out where to go and then this thing just starts chasing you, it's just, yeah, I can easily get away from it. And now I forgot what I was doing. You know? It's like, I don't know. It's like, oh, I forgot to save, so now I have to like redo all this stuff.
Yeah.
In Animal Well, every time you like you complete something, it saves. You know, like,
well, don't you have to save? Don't you find like a little computer or something, and you go there to? Or you find a phone?
Oh, so yeah. That'll save your location, but if you collect certain items and stuff, you just keep them.
Oh, okay.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong about Metroid Dread. I only played it for a little bit, but whatever.
I was playing. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was playing the Game Boy Advance Metroid, which I think was a remake of the Super Nintendo one. And it did... I remember it would really stress me out not knowing where to go. And somehow I would always end up in the right place, like if I trusted the game and just sort of trusted my instinct. But I always had this uncomfortable feeling of like, for all I know, I got turned around and I'm walking totally the wrong way right now.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that's good are teleportation points, so that way you can easily jump between areas of the map. If you have to like in Metroid Dread, that's another thing where I was getting frustrated. If I accidentally like went down this part of the map, you can't go back up, so you have to go like all the way around to get back to where you were. Obviously, you unlock elements like double jump and stuff that'll help you with that, but maybe I'm just impatient and I just want to solve puzzles. I don't want to like worry like I didn't mean to go down there, and now because of that little slip up, you know.
I mean, I'm too impatient.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, even for like Yoshi's Island, I tried to play it again recently, and I was like, wait a minute, where do I go? Because that game is slightly more non-linear than like Super Mario World. I do want to get. I mean, people love Metroid so much. I do want to go back and give some of these games a more serious attempt. I've played them for like bits here and there.
Yeah.
And one like the Metroid Prime, the 3D ones for GameCube. I have been intrigued by those games for about 20 years now. That's just been in the back of my mind at all times. There's some little part of me that's like, you should try that Metroid Prime game. I thought that the first time I learned about it, and I haven't stopped thinking it. So I just don't know. Did they remaster those for Switch? I think they did.
I think one of them.
Yeah, so I want to try those games.
Yeah. So I think one thing is, you know, now that I'm a little older, I'm more impatient. I'm always worried about like wasting time. So there's certain things like as a kid I wouldn't have minded. Like, so now that I've beat Animal Well, I would like to unlock whatever other secrets there are, but I battle internally with how much of this do I want to actually like figure out myself because, you know, I like solving puzzles, and how much of this I'm just curious what happens and I should just watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because what's the difference ultimately?
That's how I felt about what's that game where Get Over It. When you beat the game, I kept seeing these YouTube videos where when you beat the game, it makes you fill out this form that's like, I am not currently recording and I'm not going to show this to anybody, and then it lets you into the next thing. And I was like, I gotta know what this is. Like, maybe I should beat the game. And I was like, I just looked it up on YouTube and I saw. I won't say what it is in case people don't want it spoiled.
No, I'm curious.
I'll tell you after.
Look that up. But here's the thing. I really love solving puzzles in video games. So I don't want to look up the solution so I collected a bunch of the eggs. I would like to collect every single egg because I want to solve the puzzles that are associated with each egg. But the problem is I don't know where all of them are. but I'm afraid to look up on YouTube or walkthroughs and get something spoiled in terms of the game mechanic, how to solve the puzzle. So I really wish that when you beat the game, they would give you a device that would be like, it would just show you the direction of an egg you haven't collected yet.
Right, because otherwise you're just aimlessly looking for them.
Yeah, I know the problem is some of the eggs, to find the egg's location is a puzzle in itself, but some of the eggs you can see the chest, but you just need to solve the puzzle on how to get to it.
Right.
So I really wish they would just give me that, because right now I'm kind of feeling kind of like I'm not going to go back to it, because if I'm going to look up how to get this, I may as well just watch a video of someone else doing it and then see what the reward is.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying.
I know.
Yeah.
You sounded like you just didn't want to talk about it anymore. You're like, yeah.
No, I mean, no, I was just like, and he said he won't release any DLC, so that's it. I'm not going to get a little device that just points me, or like one of those things from like Breath of the Wild, where it's just like, if you're looking for a certain item or something, you can like put that as your target item, and it'll just kind of beep as you get close. Just tell me the general vicinity.
It is kind of like repeating ourselves, but my least favorite part of a game is if I just don't know where to go and just wandering. It's just not fun. Now for an RPG game, if it's let me go talk to people and I'm looking for clues or something, like you are actively doing something. But I remember when I was a kid getting lost in like Doom, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to stick to the wall and just follow the wall. And then I must at some point see something I haven't already seen and figure out where to go.
Yeah. Like in Animal Well, just like Metroid, you could look at the map and see, oh, it looks like this goes somewhere I haven't been. But two problems. One, it's all pixelated, which I love the aesthetic, but it's really hard to see on that map sometimes. It's a really big map when you unlock every area. So it's hard to find that one little opening where you haven't gone. Number two, sometimes it shows an opening, but it goes into a room that's too dark. So you can't look. So it says like you can't look at your map. It's too dark.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
So, but they just leave the area completely black on the map. So there's no indication you've already been there.
Oh, okay.
I know like they have this whole stamp system and a pencil, but I'm not the kind of player that likes to go like mark areas on the map. I just don't want to do that. So I don't. I mean, in some areas you can light a candle, right? But not every dark area, and then you can see it on your map. But not every dark area has a candle that you can light. So anyway,
I feel like you and I both have the same tendency of if we're going to talk about our opinion on something, we start with like the fundamental, like people already know if it's good or not, and then we just go straight into like here are the things I don't like about it. But you do like you recommend this game, right? Like overall.
Oh yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. My frustration comes from the fact that I want to play more, but because of these tiny, in my opinion, issues, I don't want to go back and finish because it's going to be too frustrating. And it's because, and ultimately, like, if I was like a kid, or if I had all the time in the world, maybe I'd be fine with it. But I just like, I don't have, I got other stuff to do. So like, if I could like like in Breath of the Wild, the puzzles are in individual shrines, which in one way I don't like it for a Zelda game, but once I beat Animal Well, I'm like, I kind of wish I could just like teleport to the location of each individual egg just so I could do the puzzle.
Yeah, do puzzle one. I like puzzle two. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like puzzles. That's my favorite kind of level in Mario Maker.
I think for the clip, I'll just end with you going, I like puzzles. Well, speaking of there are better things to do, you want to squeeze out? I got one more topic that I think is just too important for us to not talk about.
Sure.
Venom: The Last Dance, the third and supposedly final Venom movie. The trailer's coming out next week, but just a week ago, there was a big plot leak. Now, we can't know for sure it's true. I have some evidence. I have evidence I haven't seen anybody talk about. So there's some exclusivity to this story.
The Last Dance? Is it going to be a musical?
We have two movies coming out this year that are unexpectedly musicals. I have a couple of exclusives here where I did some digging and found some stuff. So first off, there's a plot leak from forget the channel's name, but it was a YouTube channel that covers a lot of like movie news. They got this from an inside source. I won't go through all of it, but it basically goes through almost the entire movie. I'll just mention the basic premise of the movie. And I mean, how much do you care about spoilers for Venom: The Last Dance?
Don't really care.
Okay, but anybody in the audience, if you care about spoilers, I'm going to give away kind of like what the overall synopsis might be, but I won't spoil specifically where it goes. So what they're saying is that because Venom has multiversal knowledge, the Venom hive mind, they know who Peter Parker is, right? We already knew that from Let There Be Carnage. That's why he got pulled into the MCU in No Way Home. And of course, he was relegated only to the post-credit scene, which we loved that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I actually did like that, but only because I don't want him to infect this movie. Like, yeah, just keep him out of this. The plot is that because of the hive mind, Venom learns that Peter Parker kills Venom in the multiverse. That's always what happens. Peter Parker's the one to kill him. So he's like, we should go find Peter Parker in our world and go kill him before in the future he can kill us. So he finds Peter Parker, and he's 10 years old right now. So he's like, we gotta kill this kid.
That's funny.
Yeah, I read that. I was like, I hope that's true. A lot of the comments on Reddit were like, this is stupid enough to be true. Like, I wouldn't put this past Sony. But I that's pretty funny. It gives me like, it's like Terminator 2 in reverse.
Yeah.
Where he's not trying to protect the kid, he's trying to kill him. But then, obviously they're not going to kill a 10-year-old. I think at one point Venom like throws some spiders at him and one of them bites Peter and he has like a severe allergic reaction. So they have to take him to the hospital. And so he's like, all right, he's like just a normal kid. Like, I can't go through with this. So I think that's kind of the basic premise, and it goes from there.
I like that.
Yeah, right? See, it's like, because they know we all want the crossover with like Spider-Man. And they're like, okay, you get your crossover, but not in the way you expect. And in a way that I think is ripe for comedy.
Yeah.
Now, here is the digging that I did. So I searched for Venom plot leaks. And I found a Reddit post that's sourcing a 4chan leak from a year ago. So this is all being reported just a week ago. But I found a leak from a year ago, came from 4chan, got posted on Reddit, not quite as detailed, but it basically says the same thing. But it has an additional bullet. So, recent 4chan leak contained the following, and this is the first bullet. Venom 3 will be a standalone sequel to Madam Web, which is about the titular character and 3 Spider-Women protecting a pregnant Mary Parker and an unborn Peter Parker. So, that's not what Madam Web ended up being about. But it's not that far off, because Mary Parker was mentioned, and she was pregnant, and it was, of course, implied that this is Peter Parker. So you can imagine how a game of telephone from Madam Web would end up with that close but not quite accurate synopsis. So if this leak said that about Madam Web, and then also said this stuff about a 10-year-old Peter in Venom 3, that tells me this might be true. So
yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Oh, the other debunk I have is trending on X this morning is Venom's Last Dance, rated R and ready for redemption. Venom Last Dance is not going to be rated R. At least they have not said that, and there's no evidence of that. The reason people are saying it is because the trailer, which releases next week, has been rated 15 in the UK, which people say is the equivalent of an R rating here. But Venom 1 and 2 were rated 15 in the UK, which were PG-13 here. So, yeah, I think it's going to be PG-13. It's fine, whatever.
Yeah,
I just remember the guy, I can't remember his name, but the person who made the first movie, the director, before the movie came out, he kept saying, like, yeah, maybe it'll be an R rating. I mean, Venom is pretty hardcore, And then when they announced PG-13, he's like, I never said that. I never said it would be R-rated. I'm like, yeah, you did. You definitely said it was possible. But now there's the rumor of an R-rated Venom animated movie from Seth Rogen. Which,
I mean,
I like that new Ninja Turtles movie. So it could be good.
Yeah. I mean, he does Invincible. Or
Yeah.
he's involved.
Yeah, he's involved.
Good. Season 1 was better.
Yeah, I haven't watched season 2 yet, but Seth Rogen is creatively involved in that show. I forget exactly how. I mean, for all I know, he's like the showrunner. He might be. I'm not sure. I don't feel like looking it up. I mean, are you really coming here? Like, this is your sole source for news on movies? It's just this is for our perspective, this is not like a news reporting show. Are you looking it up?
I was going to, but I forgot what we were talking about.
This is good.
What was it?
Seth Rogen, what's his creative capacity on Invincible?
Oh, okay. All you had to say was Invincible. I thought you were... All right, he's a Canadian actor, comedian, and filmmaker.
That's good.
Too hard.
We're building up to it.
I know he does the voice of that alien.
In 2007, he broke through as a leading man.
What does that mean?
As a leading man, like somebody who stars in movies, like in a starring role.
Nice.
All right, yeah, I think we're reaching that point. I think we're ready. Any final word on Venom: The Last Dance?
No.
Can you commit? You're not going to commit to seeing the movie, but can you commit to watching the trailer?
I'll see the movie.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up there. Woo!
All right. Sounds good.
All right, so the clips portion is done. Now we're back into the filler that goes in between for the podcast.
So you know how my neighbor's been smoking cigarettes and the smell's been seeping into my apartment?
Mm-hmm.
And it's been like really annoying. I keep reporting it. Well, at my soccer game a few days ago, I got elbowed really hard in the nose. I don't know if you can see. It's like a little red here.
You know, I did notice that while you were talking. Yeah.
Yeah. So luckily, my smell is even worse than it usually is. So I can still smell the cigarettes, but not as bad.
So luckily, I can't smell it as much because my bone is protruding in the way of my nostrils. So.
Yeah. So I won't report them for a few days until I get my smell completely back.
Nice. All right, I think on that hopeful note, that's a great place to wrap up. So thank you, Alon, for stopping by the OneTake studio. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And stay tuned for more.
No problem. I know you really needed this.
All right, okay, now we're done.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you. For your...
Signing off.
Oh, it's frozen.
Okay, bye-bye.
I can't stop StreamYard.